Yep. Hello guys, so a very warm welcome to our first May Wine Month 2023 session. Yesterday was a bank holiday, but today on the 2nd of May, we are joined by Martin from Urlar in New Zealand to talk about the terroir of Urlar and what makes Urlar unique in its production, in its viticulture and vinification, in its wine growing, grape growing and wine making. I'm going to hand over to Martin in just a couple of seconds. But before I do, just wanted everyone to be aware that for Martin, it is 3 a.m. He's got up super early for us to run this session today. I'm assured that he's wide awake, but I'm not sure I would be at 3 a.m. So Martin, over to you. Please feel free to share your presentation, and I'll take it from there.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon to you all. Hope you can hear me clearly.
Yep, all good.
Yes, very good. Excellent. Okay, so we should kick off.
Yeah, we can see your slide now. That looks good. Thank you very much. Okay. All you, Martin.
Very good. Thank you. So please feel free to ask questions throughout. I can guarantee that it'll be less than the 25 minutes required. But essentially, Urlar, you'll be familiar as a Gaelic or Scottish term for of the earth. And the name originally comes from our founder, Angus Thompson. And now it's a joint venture. Angus has stepped back a little and the Japanese family has stepped in. It's an award-winning winery, and we're very pleased to have our Pinot Noir on your list. Urlar sort of prides itself, I suppose, on being a single vineyard winery as such, and we literally handpick all of the fruit required for the Pinot Noir that you carry, as well as Sauvignon Blanc, Pinot Gris, and a dessert wine are our core wines. Certified organic, biodynamic, vegan, and we pride ourselves on minimal additions as such. And all of the wines, apart from the dessert wine, are zero sugar as well. So we have a position in the top of the the lower right of the North Island. Gladstone is part of the Wairarapa wine region, and Wairarapa, you'll notice, is a river valley, and it's very clear sort of river plain. This is the Ruamahanga River running right through from Wellington, the Lake Wairarapa, right up through Masterton and up through the middle of the North Island. Three main regions there: Masterton, Gladstone, and Martinborough. Martinborough, of course, very well known for its Pinot Noirs, but you'll notice there that the river connects all three regions, and we have a river bench, basically, with quite distinctive soils that connect these three regions. So Wairarapa is very well known for I suppose, very long, dry autumns and always cool evenings. And I think this gives us the nice ripe fruit character, but always a good backbone of acidity. And I think the thing with Wairarapa is that the plantings here are 75% Pinot Noir, and then 12% Sauvignon Blanc. So unlike a lot of other regions in New Zealand, we are predominantly Pinot Noir. The only other area that comes close to that percentages is Central Otago. Urlar is just like any other New Zealand farm. We love our sheep. It's 40 million sheep in New Zealand and 4.5 million people. So we have our own flock of sheep, and we basically graze them right through the vineyard all year round. They're very good lawn mowers, add their own little inputs, of course, and it's an extra income for the company as well. But this time of the year, of course, the fruit has all been harvested, so we are putting the sheep back into the vineyard again. Not that we know all of them by name, of course, but we do get teased about that a little. Here's a shot from the what we call the cliff, and this is my perfect position for a cellar door tasting, and I hope to be able to greet you at the vineyard one day in the near future. So our winery is down to the bottom right-hand side of this, and you'll see it very clearly defines the river bench as such. So 30 meters of riverstone with about 12 inches of loam topsoil. And in the foreground there is our irrigation pond. And then that's the main Urlar block there, Sauvignon Blanc and Pinot Noir we're looking at in that particular area. Urlar certified organic by BioGrow New Zealand. We're one of the largest organic vineyards in the North Island, and certainly the largest in the Wairarapa, just over 32 hectares. So in a global sense, very small really, but for New Zealand, we're considered quite a good-sized organic producer. Vegan friendly, of course, absolutely no animal products used these days in the making of the wines, and we actually filter with a pea puree, believe it or not. Being organic, it seemed to make sense to move through to full biodynamics, and so Eva and Hamish are two of our 7 Highland cattle. They sort of add to the inputs as far as the biodynamics go through the vineyard. We follow the Steiner principles, and not quite dancing by the midnight sort of moon, but we do follow the lunar cycles, and composting and increasing the soil biodiversity is a very critical part of our winemaking and viticultural sort of process. Here are the biodynamic pits. I'm not sure if you wanted to get into this, but terroir, I suppose, is a critical part because of the fact we only use our own fruit. We don't buy in any other vineyard's fruit at all. So it really is a case of making the soil sort of in a better condition almost than as we find it. And we have these 8 interior pits. These pits are basically an element of or combination of compost with things like silica quartz, stinging nettle, dandelion, valerian. So there's quite a range of mixtures there into the pits, and you'll see these are the barrels that we use for stirring such. These it's called our CPP or Prep 500, and these are essentially cow pats mixed with various concoctions into the horns and then matured over a period of 10 to 12 months. And to give you an idea of how concentrated this is, we're able to use literally a wheelbarrow of one of the mixes to 1,000 litres to feed the vineyard. So composting is pretty critical to Urlar's vineyard cycle, and we go out to the coast every year, gather a bit of seafood, kai moana we call it, kai being sea and moana the food of the area, and gather the local abalone and mussels for lunch and spend the day collecting seaweed, and then that begins the whole composting cycle. Seaweed breaking down, we add a lot of oak bark, and mulch it through. And this is our dynamizer, we call it. And literally a wheelbarrow of that, as I mentioned, is enough for the entire vineyard. And that's our irrigation pond. So to the left is the cliff area that we just took the other photograph from. A nice place to work. We're just moving into autumn now. Leaves are dropping, and Bevan, our vineyard manager's on the right-hand side. We try to use minimal tractor work in the vineyard. So a lot of our pruning is done by hand. A lot of the larger wineries will use what they call a barrel pruner, which is a huge machine with blades, and they will go through and they will trim all of the vines. But we do everything by hand with regards to pruning. And you'll see here on the right-hand side is Brian, the viticultural fellow, doing the big cuts. Fellow in the middle's then stripping out those cuts, and on the left is tying down. And we tie down to 2 canes, not 3 or 4, as some of the larger vineyards would. So we're trying to reduce crops to increase the fruit flavors. And inter-row cropping is an essential part for us. So when we do take the little tractor through the vineyard, we'll basically tow behind a digger, and every 3rd or 4th row we'll put in the likes of a nitrogenous crop along that line. Chicory, plantain, chamomile, yarrow, those sorts of crops. Pinot Noir fruit, we do a lot of what we call green harvest or fruit thinning, and that's really an attempt again to reduce the crop levels, increase the fruit flavor, and all the picking is done by hand. So we end up with relatively clean fruit, and we have 9 clones of Pinot Noir, including the latest Dijon clones from Burgundy. So we have some young vines coming on and some old 22 to 25-year-old vines. So for us, that's considered old for New Zealand, but I understand on a global scene it's not. But for us, that's a real treat. We hand sort berries on a table as well, so a lot of manual and hand sort of input. Here's our little winery, and we're pressing the Pinot Noir juice off. Always a light press, and some full bunch fermentation as well, just to add a little bit of complexity to the juice. Urlar doesn't bring in any imported yeasts as such, so it's all natural yeasts. Minimal sulfur, of course, as I mentioned, in the vineyard, and very little in the winery itself. And filling the barrels here at Urlar, and aging the Pinot Noir. We're between 10 to 12 months. It's a mixture of French or smaller oak barriques, 225 litre, and typically light to medium toast. Evie, our Scottish lass on the left there, and Janine, our huntress winemaker. She's very keen. We've got duck shooting coming up this weekend, so it's opening day for us, so a very important time. And duck, of course, being the perfect Pinot Noir match. And there we have the Pinot Noir sorting or blending table. So essentially, Janine and Evie have sorted out the best barrel options and got together the Pinot Noir for us. So the Pinot Noir you're listing at the moment is the 20 and 21 vintage. I know some of you have had a few issues with the changeover of vintage, but essentially 100% Pinot Noir from our own vineyards. As I mentioned, all hand-picked fruit, sort of on the table, gently pressed, natural yeasts. Time on skins is monitored by tasting. There's no set recipe as such, and aged in French oak barriques. Only 15 to 20% is new. We're trying not to overload the wine with too much oak character, and then goes through natural ferment, then bottle aged the winery for 12 to 18 months. I'm hoping a few of you have got the wine in the glass in front of you. The wine itself is medium to dark red, and we've got some lovely earthy spice characters. I think Wairarapa Pinot Noir is renowned for having almost a savoury sort of meaty character, and a lot of that goes through from the nose onto the palate. And I quite often pick up black cherries, roasted nuts, and almost an olive sort of character. And Wairarapa or Martinborough Pinot Noir, Gladstone, etc., have a good reputation for aging, and we're currently enjoying at the Cellar Door 2008, 2009 vintage Pinot Noir, and a little while back we tried the 98, drinking well. So very confident about the aging process. And of course, you know your menu better than I do, and but I'm a fan of red meat dishes with mushrooms, olives, grilled beetroot, believe it or not, and smoked or barbecued white meats. And salmon is a particular favourite of mine, off the barbecue with Pinot Noir. Accolades wise, Urlar, so this is the 21 Pinot Noir. Just picked up a gold in the Aotea, which is the New Zealand National Wine Show, and quite a few nice reviews there, with Michael Cooper and MW rating the Urlar Pinot Noir as one of the best Pinots from the 21 vintage. And the summary there, and I really am open to any questions that you may have about the Pinot Noir.
There's a couple of questions from me. Just the group's always a bit quiet, but you know, being a biodynamic producer, it's always quite difficult to harvest within the lunar cycle. How do you manage to achieve such a large harvest in such a short space of time?
It's a case of just preparation and all hands on deck, really. So a lot of unpaid labour is called on, but really, being the 32 hectares that we are, it's not a major. We're able to pick over that sort of 10 to 12 day sort of picking window.
Yeah. And
yes, the dessert wine is the one that causes the issues. You can imagine we're at the hands of the weather gods in that particular case.
Yeah. And just, I mean, obviously Gladstone as an area is not somewhere that that everyone would know about. It's not, you know, it's not within the UK, you know, wine education, it's not somewhere we talk about much, but obviously Martinborough is. In terms of the total production of the two regions, how do they compare? I mean, is Gladstone 10%, 15, 20% of Martinborough's production, or you know?
I think, I mean, from a winery point of view, we would be, you know, to give you an idea, there are 48 wineries in the Martinborough region, and there are 4 in Gladstone, and there are 5, I think, in Masterton. So tiny, but from a profile point of view, just sort of getting our hand up, so to speak, And I think the fact that some of the wines are picking up awards overseas is starting to help the profile. And I think the fact that Martinborough is very comfortable being part of the Wairarapa region now, so it is starting to get known. But yes, we feel like a pioneer as such, even though Martinborough has been around a long time.
Yeah. And last question for me: so you say you bottle age the wine on site, but presumably it's not bottled on site. So where's the bottling done?
Oh, the bottling's done at Martinborough. Yes.
Right. Okay. Cool.
So the juice is literally tankered up the road once the winemaker's happy, bottled, and then brought back.
Cool. Thank you.
We're quite large enough to have our own bottling line yet.
No. Well, not many are they these days?
No, they're not. No.
Any other questions from the group? That'd be a no then. Look, from my perspective, it's really great to see the photos and to understand a bit more about where our wines come from. Sometimes in our hotels we think that our wines are all mass produced in large vineyards around the world, and this is a fantastic example of one of our wines, which is a small boutique producer making great quality wines with a similar sort of ethos to what we hope our wineries that are producing wines that are vegan friendly, the biodynamic nature of you as a producer. So thanks for sharing the photos. It really helps us understand more about where our wines come from. Unless anyone has any questions, I will end the call there. But Martin, on behalf of Hotel de Vin, I just want to say a big thank you for getting up at 3 a.m, well, probably before 3 a.m, to spend time with us this morning, sharing the Urlar story. And then obviously just everyone, please join us tomorrow for Chateau St. Michael to talk about the Cabernet that we list on the Buy the Bottle list. So please join us tomorrow again at 4 o'clock for tomorrow's session as part of May Wine Month. But otherwise, thank you very much. I'll end the call there. Have a great day. Thank you.
Fantastic. Thank you all.
Thanks, guys. Thanks, Martin. Bye-bye.
Good night.
Bye.